In the previous lesson, I offered my solo guitar adaptation of the theme from The Walking Dead, which, as you recall, is built around a repeating melody that's based on a minor add-9, also known as minor add-2 arpeggio. As a follow-up to that, I would like to explore this arpeggio further and show you a bunch of different places to play it all over the neck that you can use to build melodies and solos, and we're going to use a theory-friendly key of A minor to demonstrate. Just to clarify here, minor add-9 and minor add-2 are essentially the same thing, the only difference being the octave in which that added note is played. If it falls above the fifth in a chord or arpeggio voicing, as we saw in the Walking Dead theme, it's reckoned as the ninth. For example, in the key of A minor, if we have this A minor triad, A, C, E, A is the root, C is the minor third, E is the fifth, and then we throw this B note on top, then it makes more sense to think of that as minor add-9. But if we sandwich the add-9 an octave lower, it's better to call it a minor add-2. For example, A, B, C, E. I can cheat here. I can use the open B string to fret all the notes together. You could also play the chord like this. So that's better thought of as A minor add-2. In any case, it's spelled 1, 2, flat 3, 5. I use the term flat. That's music theory street lingo for minor. It's really the minor third, but you'll see flat 3. People will use that. And the examples I'm going to show you here include some fairly wide stretches, so make sure you're limbered up, warmed up, and with ease, with practice, it'll get a little easier to play. So our first shape here I want to show you is in actually what's called sixth position, and it's an A minor add-2 arpeggio, played across all 6 strings in 2 octaves like this. I purposely skipped over the B string because I didn't want to bar. Whenever you are playing a melodic arpeggio, such as when you're sweeping or just alternate picking, whatever, it's better to not bar because the notes tend to bleed together and sound like a chord. So that's why I like to go. That's based on the framework of a regular A minor arpeggio, which would be. So I'm adding the second or ninth B in each octave. I'm doing a little bar here at 7th fret, out of necessity, but it's only across 2 strings, so you can kind of rock your finger like that. Experiment with hammer-ons and pull-offs and what have you. Now I'm going to show you a bunch of other patterns that are all fixed positions for playing the same arpeggio. So we'll move right up here to 7th position, and now we're going to start on the 9th B. Soften up with some pull-offs, and then you move up to, I guess it would be 9th position here. The position, by the way, is always determined by the fret behind your middle finger, which is considered like the center of your hand position. Moving along, we have the 11th, 12th position. Keep in mind, you always want to practice it from the top down as well. Don't always get in the habit of everything starting on the bottom. Sometimes you want to start on the top. It'll program a different kind of muscle memory into your hands, so when you go to play, you won't always just play everything from the bottom up, right? Okay, now moving along to 12th position proper. Those are the very same notes we just played. It's just a different fingering, and it offers different possibilities for phrasing. And then we move up to, I guess, 14th position. Now, I did do a pinky bar there, but I tried to separate the notes as much as possible using a little bit of fret hand muting, and I'm always using a little bit of palm muting on the lower strings that I'm not playing, when they cross over to the high strings. And then we move up here to 16th position. Now you can play those last three an octave lower. You want to be thorough, right? So we could start with the open strings. I very carefully palm muted that low E string. You don't want that bleeding into the rest of it, because then it sounds like you're hitting a sustain pedal on the piano when you don't want the notes to ring together, right? So palm muting is important. And then we have this one. That was this one, an octave lower. And then finally, the last one, an octave lower. Practice also from the top down. So these are all fixed positions, right? You saw my hand staying in one position play. I'd now like to show you some diagonal extended patterns that take you beyond 2 octaves. You can get up to 2.5 octaves, and you're going to move diagonally up and across the neck. So let's check this out. This first pattern I'm going to show you is 2 notes per string, and you're going to play a 4-note, what I call a module or cell, like this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 5 in terms of the intervals. A, B, C, E. Then you're going to quickly and silently shift up 2 frets and do the same thing in the middle octave on the middle 2 strings. So we have, but I did that quick shift in there, right? And then you're going to play it in the higher octave on the top 2 strings. You have to shift up 3 frets because of the stupid way the guitar is tuned. Put it together. Come down. And you try to make it connected and seamless. It's a little tricky because you have to do those shifts, but once you get used to it, you kind of anticipate it. I found a really good thing to do with any of these is to look at your anchor points. Like, I know my middle finger is always going to be on A in each octave, so I do this. And then coming down, my pinky is going to be on each of these E notes. So I do that first, that kind of places it mentally and physically for me. A minor add 9. Now here's another one. We're going to start on the 9th, or the 2nd B, and we're going to do, again, a 4-note module. We have a little half step there, B, C, and then a big, wide interval here between the 5th, E, and the root. That's a perfect 4th. And then again, we're taking that 4-note cell, transposing it up an octave, up 2 frets. So you got to learn, teach your hand, train your hand to not be lazy and just undershoot it by a fret. I think I might have done that once. I did. I went to go. So make sure you're nice and limber and that you're reaching, right? Reaching for that note. Okay, now this one I'm going to leave out the bottom string. I'm just going to go. It seems more practical in this case. And so a 4-note cell. Now here I'm using the A and D strings, and then the G and B. And then just rolling the pinky over to the high string to hit that high root note. You can use some legato in there, right? Make it sound nice and fluid and creamy. And then another one here would be to start out with the big perfect 4th interval, and then have the minor 2nd here. It's kind of the opposite of this one where we went. Now we're going. So practice them in those 4-note groups first, and then try to connect it all together into one seamless, unbroken rhythm. Now, another way to do this is, instead of playing these 2+2 patterns, is to do 1 note per string, and then 3 notes on the next string, or 3 notes per string, and then 1 note on the next string. Okay, here's a 1+3 pattern. Again, you want to mute that E note. You don't want that ringing into the rest of it, You could just not even play that E note. Just go. And here's the same thing an octave higher. Again, the position shifts are key, especially when you're going from the top 2 strings. You got to jump down 3 frets. So the essence here is this move. I'm going from the index finger at the 17th fret on the B string to the pinky at the 17th fret on the G string. It's all about knowing what's coming up, anticipating it, and knowing to get your hand in the right spot at the right time. And that's a mark of a good athlete. Think about a baseball player, outfielder, who's catching a ball, or a NFL receiver, right, punt receiver. He makes sure he's in the right place where the ball is going to be. You have to time it just right. And here's another one. Okay, this is 3+1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. So you practice it like that at first. And then try to connect it together. Better to go slow and get it even. Now you can throw in some finger slides there too. You want to be melodic. Sometimes you're playing a slow thing in a free time melody. Get expressive that way. And then you can combine patterns. There's no rule here. I'm just showing you guidelines. You can combine 1+3 or 3+1 with 2+2. For example, you can go. Okay, I went 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. And then went 1, 2, 1, 2. Whatever works for you. It all has to do with the application, what you're using it for. And another example would be. As you practice all these patterns, look for little cells within them, like a small pattern, maybe within an octave, that works well and can be looped into like a little speedy shred lick. Like, for example, if you go. You play it with some high gain, some distortion, and where you can go. Or. Look for little shred cells, I call them. Even if you end up using 1% of what I just showed you, isn't that worthwhile, right? You just throw that into your vocabulary and your bag of licks.